Welcome, everybody. I'm Emily Morgan with Delegate Solutions. We're a premium virtual assistant firm. I'm based in Philadelphia. My team is all across the US. Today, we have a very special guest, Mark Abbott, who is the visionary and founder of 90.io. If you're not familiar with that, it's an EOS software builder that helps companies become extraordinarily productive, humane, and resilient. And along with this venture, Mark is also a certified EOS implementer. So welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Emily. Pleasure to be here.
And where do you call home? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I actually have two places. They're both home for us. So we have a place in Florida, down in the Keys, Key
Nice.
Largo, and been down there for a long time. And then we also have a kind of a farm, 80 acres outside of Atlanta, and that's where I'm checking in today from.
Amazing. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal you have going on there.
It's not bad. No complaints.
So we're going to talk today about data, and
Yep.
your tool is a great resource for companies running on EOS.
Yeah.
How do you see teams taking something simple on paper like the rock sheets and making that more powerful through a tool like 90?
Yeah, so rocks, there's a bunch of stuff that we do when we're doing EOS, and I like to call them agreements, right? So rocks are just one of the core agreements that we have. To-dos are agreements, roles and responsibilities are agreements, measurables are agreements, right? And so ultimately, especially in work from anywhere, we just want to have a decent sense that people are living up to their agreements, that we're giving them all the tools, the resources, the things that they need to be able to live up to their agreements. And so, 90 as an example, obviously you can put your rocks in there, and then you can also put 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, milestones in there that obviously have things that are going to get done. Hopefully they're smart. And that means they also have dates associated with them. And as long as everything's just going along and you're hitting all your milestones, we've got a really confident sense that the rock's going to be completed by the end of the quarter. So, in terms of how we use the tool and how we use the data, in something you have obviously the weekly meetings you're checking in to see whether or not things are on track. The milestones turn into dues, so we help remind you that these things are coming due. And then, ultimately, it's not just sitting in the level 10 meetings, but by putting it in there in the beginning of the quarter, you're really thinking through, what is it going to take to get this thing done? And then sometimes you're relying on other people, and so you can actually have some other people responsible for some of your milestones. And then you have to have that conversation. Can they have an agreement with you to help you get your rock done? So, there's a bunch of ways that rocks are involved in helping us, see what's going on. And if you think about it through the lens of data, making sure that we're on track to hit, at least, at EOS, we celebrate at least hitting 80% of your rocks. We obviously at 90 would love you to hit at least 90% of your rocks so that you can turn your vision into reality.
Okay, so I was thinking 90 meant 90 days. Is it really about
It
rock
means that
completion?
as well, right? It's 90 days getting your entire company, your senior leadership team, each of your departments, each of your teams, all your people to march 90 days at a time, hitting 90% of everything that matters, right? 90% of your rocks, your to-dos, hitting your measurables, and all those good things.
Yes, we actually have our quarterly tomorrow, and I'm
Awesome.
super proud to share we hit all of our rocks. We're 100% going into tomorrow.
Fantastic.
So it hasn't been that way every quarter, but we're pretty anal and like very detailed. So we usually hit them, 80 to 90% typically.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, how do leaders look at their company's data differently with a tool like 90?
Yeah, so the cool thing about the tool is it's really a system, a platform that integrates all the core tools that are within sort of the EOS system, right? And so you're basically that's the power of the software to being integrated. So everything's connected. So if you think about it, you've got data in your VTO, right? Where you want to be in 3 years, where you want to be in 1 year, where you want to be in 90 days. as an example. Obviously, you have data in your meetings, in your scorecard. You actually have, if you want to, in 90, you can attach measurables to the steps in your process, so you can see which steps are consistently being hit, or if there's some issues, and then focus on making those processes either better or helping people by training them so that everybody's following them and consistently doing them. The feedback tool that's in 90 as an example is connected right now to your rocks. So when you sit down and have a quarterly conversation, you can see what percentage of your rocks were done. Literally within the next month or so, we're going to have graphics in there so you can see what percentage of your to-dos were done on time, what percentage of your measurables were above target versus below target just a little bit, versus below target for 3 weeks or more. And then of course the rocks and your milestones. So there's a bunch of different ways that we sort of, by integrating it all, we can make it really clear what's working and what's not working. And as we were talking about earlier, as a visionary, if we're hitting 90% of everything that matters, I'm sleeping pretty well at night, right? We got good rocks. I like to do the org checkups every quarter, so we're making great progress with regard to being at least 90% strong across all 6 key components. And we're hitting our to-dos, we're hitting our measurables, we're hitting our rocks. Life's pretty good.
Pretty great quarter for sure.
Yeah, it really is, right? Yeah.
Very nice feeling.
And then the beauty of that is then once you get the company so that all that's working well, then you can do what visionaries really should be doing, which is working on where's the business going to be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, working on helping people, coaching them, working on developing those deeper ties, frankly, with all your stakeholders, right? Because I think that's one of the things we're moving into right now. I'm actually writing a book called Work 7.0, and one of the big ideas in there is, the rise of the stakeholders, right? With everything being as transparent as it is these days, you really need to have great relationships with all your stakeholder sets. And that's something the visionary should absolutely, be owning. And that includes, the community. Or if you're a national company, it's your national presence, or if you're global, right, et cetera. So focusing on those things that really visionaries should be able to focus on if everything else is going pretty well.
That book sounds excellent. When are you launching that?
Well, writing books is a lot of work, and I have 2 day jobs, right? So one of them obviously is running 90, and the other one's being the USI and a coach. So I'm hoping to get it out early next year. That's the goal.
Cool. And I'd be remiss if I don't ask you, are you accepting clients at this time into your practice?
In my coaching practice, honestly, because I try to always be honest, it's pretty selective right now just because I'm pretty booked up. But I love interesting challenges, and so if there's someone out there that's really has an interesting challenge or trying to grow their business significantly, they want to do some pretty cool things in terms of building something special. I'm a sucker for those businesses, and so would take that on, but I'm really pretty close to full up. But I do love a great challenge, and I love helping people who are putting a big dent in the world.
Yeah, big dreams. So
yeah.
We talked a lot about data. That's definitely the central theme here that on our talk today. But how else are you helping empower users through data in general?
Yeah, so in a lot of regards, we've only just begun. So there's a bunch of stuff we can't wait to build out. So one of the things that's going to be coming out real soon is we have a sister company, ToolsHub.ai, and ToolsHub is going to come out with, it's already in beta. So we have 115 companies, out of our almost 2,000 companies that are in our beta program. And it's called Dash, and it's a dashboard. And so it takes all your data and gives you a real visual experience, obviously charts and graphs, right, beyond the traditional scorecard. But what's really cool about it is it's not just about the data per se, but it also, you can create dashboards. And so you can scroll across and show your core values. You can show your purpose, passion, and cause. We've got a bunch of great quotes that are loaded in there. So you can have a quote go across the screen every 5 or 10 seconds you decide. And then ultimately you can share a lot of the data on how the teams are doing in terms of, climbing up the rock wall, as I like to say, or in terms of hitting their measurables. Ultimately, the data can be shared on an anonymous basis or a attributed basis. And so, what we're trying to do with the tool, I look at it as kind of a super tool, is we know a lot about what it takes to build great companies these days. And, one of the huge things is having, high trust culture. And so part of, what we're trying to do with the dashboard is really, one of the things that's important in trust is just being very open, right? And so we want to do that. In the dashboard, another thing that's very important is celebrating and appreciating people. And so the ability to ultimately have your pictures and the calendar and, pictures from events, the people directory, things like that. So just really figuring out how to take a lot of the data and use it to just create super strong and healthy cultures.
Nice. And that will integrate with 90?
Yep, fully integrates with 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
Building out your data empire. um, so you shared you're working on a book. You've got this new tool. Is there anything else you're working on that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're working on. So the next thing that we are working on is building a community for all the companies that are running on 90. Ultimately, the community is going to have expert groups, and so we're going to stand up a bunch of expert groups. So if you want to find out more about, you have questions on, as an example, hiring a fractional integrator, I know that you all and us, very much are supporting those people in that world. And so you can go in and talk to a number of experts that are going to be in there. You can talk to other companies that have fractional integrators. And ultimately, we want to stand up expert groups, or we will stand up expert groups. I have Yoda in my head. There is no try, there is only do. We will stand up an expert group for marketing. We'll stand up an expert group for finance. And so back again to fractional. So there'll be some fractional CFO firms that'll be there as well as helping. We'll do the same for administration and helping people. We're going to do the same in terms of technology and sort of the core areas that most organizations have, so they can connect there. And then ultimately we'll be encouraging people to set up groups, private and public, around industries. And so that's called the community. And that's going to be a bit of a mess, to be candid with you, because it's going to take a while to really stand that up. And so we're hopeful people will buckle in for a kind of a slow beginning, but ultimately, within, who knows, right, 6, 9, 12 months, it'll start to actually have its own legs and be pretty interesting. And I think especially nowadays, right, with everything that's going on in the world, back to work from anywhere, I think we appreciate work today more than maybe we ever have. And that's part of my opening in Work 7.0 is if you think about it, you really can't achieve self-actualization, if you want to use Maslow, right, without work. I mean, work is how we develop self-esteem. Work helps us connect with like-minded people. Work helps us grow. Work helps us matter. And so ultimately, we're just, back to the big picture, right? We're just trying to help people and organizations become extraordinarily productive, humane, and resilient.
You're like going full circle with all of this. So with that group,
Yeah.
user group, is that just for 90 users, or is that like an open community?
Yeah, right now we're leaning toward, we have this abundance mindset. That's a very EOS thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think to begin with, for a whole host of reasons, it's beta. And in the beginning, it's something that's being made available to the members of the 90 community. So anybody running on 90 or supporting 90 companies.
Sweet. And what's your Colby? I'm just curious.
Yeah, 7463.
You're only a 6 quick start. I am a 6 quick start. I think you would be higher
Yeah.
than that. I'm 6'7", 6'2". So we're kind of close. A little different on the follow through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the follow through. I need others around me for that. So a 4 is not horrible,
No,
but you know, it's not my thing.
interesting. I would have pegged you because we work with Mark O'Donnell. He's a 10 quick start. So
I know Mark well. Yeah,
anyway,
great
it
guy.
was really great chatting with you. Thank you for taking the
Yeah,
time. Where can
my
people
pleasure.
go to continue the conversation with you?
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. Mark at 90.io. So NINETY.io.
Hmm.
And obviously to learn more about 90, just got to go to 90.io and that'll all work.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your knowledge on this, especially in the niche of EOS. We're grateful for that. Thank you for your time
Yeah,
and
well,
look
you're welcome.
forward to doing this again with you in the future.
Same here. Thanks, Emily.